We got a sticky situation, Mario. Get it? Sticky situation. Eh, eh, Anyway, the MLB is implementing a new rule where if players caught with any foreign substance will face a 10-day suspension and will have to pay a fine. It doesn't say how much money, but they will have to pay a fine if they get caught by the umpire. Um, this has been a thing for many, many years, Mario, and it dates back well over a century, and this has been one of the hottest controversies in all of sports, really. Pitchers doctor the baseball. There are other controversies in sports, but definitely seems to be one of the most intriguing ones. Um, and the reason why this is coming out now is because there have been a couple of instances where pitchers have been caught using something, but nothing has really happened. I know a pitcher on the Cardinals. Let me see what his name is. His name is Giovanni Galloges. His hat had to be removed from the game because I guess they thought there was a substance on there. Trevor Bauer, one of his baseballs that he was pitching in one of the games earlier this season, got taken in by the MLB to be inspected. And Garrett Cole and then a lot of other pitchers have been interviewed about it. And they've been struggling to answer the questions, which leads a lot of people to believe that they're hiding something, which has been a controversy for many, many years now, Mario. But this year seems to be very, very high, given the league-wide batting average, which is .247, which is an all-time low, by the way, Mario. But yeah, it just seems to be a big situation this year. And it's been a controversy for the last couple of months. A lot of players have been asked about it, whether they agree to disagree about it. So yeah, and now MLB has implemented a rule where if you get caught, you get a 10-day ban, and well, you got to pay a fine. That's just the cost of you breaking the rules. So let me start off with this first. I actually want to talk about this. Before I do, this article was written by Jeff Passan of ESPN. So let me go first, okay? I want to talk about why pitchers doctored the ball, okay? They doctor the ball for the same reason why batters put pine tar on their bat. I don't really have a bat on me right now, but if you look at a baseball bat, there's like a rim in the middle of the bat where the barrel is and the handle is. The pine tar can only go to that limit. If it goes past that, it's illegal. That's why George Brett back in the 80s got caught and he was suspended for it because it was over that limit. The pine tar game is what they call that. But unlike batters where they're allowed to do that, pitchers aren't. And there is one thing in particular that is legalized by the MLB, and that bag on the mound called the rosin bag. And basically what that is you bang on your hands, kind of like a chalky feeling. It dries up your hands. And that's basically what that does. So, but that's legalized by the MLB. And believe it or not, Mario, MLB has been trying to find a grip-worthy substance that can be legalized by them. They've done that before. It's just very difficult to do. But there are things such as pine tar, obviously. That's one of the more popular ones. Another popular one, Mario, and I never knew this was a thing until I read this, is sunscreen and rosin combination. I never knew that was a thing. So, I mean, that's definitely interesting. Spider tack is another very popular one. It's an extremely sticky substance, kind of like glue almost. But here's the thing, okay? I understand why pitchers doctor the ball. All right, I know that sounds crazy, all right? I know that sounds very, very crazy, but hear me out, okay? Hear me out. They, again, like I mentioned, pitchers doctor the ball for the same reason why the batters put the pine tar on the bat, so they can get a better grip, so they can hit the ball better. Same thing goes for the pitcher, except it's for a different reason. They put the grip on the ball so they can get a better grip on the ball, get better spin rate. You know what I mean? That's why they do it. But here's the thing, unlike the batter, it's illegal for the pitcher. So that's why I'm against it, because if it's not legalized, then I'm not for it. You know what I mean? Now, the $1 million question is, do I believe, as a pitcher, pitchers should have a grip on the ball? Legally, yes. Illegally, no. Like what's going on here now with the illegal substances. Obviously, it's in the phrase illegal substance. You can't do that. But if it was a legal substance, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm all for it, because some pitchers have a different grip more than others. I have long fingers. If I put my hand right next to my face, you can kind of get an idea how big my fingers are. So I never really had a problem with grip. But there are some instances where I've used a rosin bag, like if the grass is like damp or whatever, like the ball gets slippery. So I use the rosin to kind of dry up my hand so it doesn't get slippery, so I get a better grip. But other than that, and if it's like hot out and I'm sweating a lot, I'll use the rosin bag so my sweat doesn't doesn't make the ball slippery. But other than that, that's really it. I don't really use anything else other than that. But other pitchers do use it for other reasons, But it's a big controversy in baseball. It's been around for a long, long time. It's just only starting to rise now. And many pitchers have been caught with it in the past. Many, many. Michael Pineda is one of the more famous ones. He got caught doing it against the Red Sox when he was playing with the Yankees in Fenway. He had it on his neck. And he got thrown out of the game for that. I'm trying to think. Phil Necro's brother, Joe Necro, he got caught with it. I guess he was sandpaper in the ball, which is an interesting one too. And it fell, and he tried to hide it. Literally, it was a funny video because he tried to hide it by taking it out of his back pocket and throwing it away. But they were just like, "Nah, we seen that." But yeah, he ended up getting suspended for that. And there's been a lot of instances, Mark. I can go on and on about it. But at the end of the day, I look at it like this, okay? The MLB has been looking at instances where they could find a legal substance for a pitcher to grip the ball. And if that's the case, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Because again, not every pitcher is going to have that nice pure grip. Some like just like batters, they don't have all of them have that pure grip. That's why they use the pine tar, but even they have their limits. So honestly, Mario, there have been a couple of, like I said, there have been a couple of instances this year with Trevor Bauer's ball being investigated by the MLB. That the other pitcher from the Cardinals had to be removed. They believe there was a substance on it. So I don't know what's going to happen to them. That happened a month or two ago, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen to them. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on it. So with that being said, to Major League Baseball, I do wish them the best of luck in trying to figure this whole situation out. I definitely do believe that this isn't the end we're going to hear. This has definitely been an ongoing thing for a while, so this isn't the end. But we'll just see what happens, and we'll see what the MLB does about it moving forward.
Yeah, Nate, I mean, you basically explained everything that you needed to explain about the whole substance itself. I want to point a little bit more on the suspension. This suspension, okay? For me to say it's fair, I'm going to tell you it all depends. And the reason why I say that is because if a starting pitcher is caught using this type of substance, right? They pitch probably every 5 games.
Yeah.
All right. If you're in a 5-pitcher rotation, they pitch every 5 games. So a 10-day suspension to them is like 2 games. It's not a lot, If it's a reliever, it's a little more, because the relievers come in a lot more than actual starters do. So there's that instance as well. If it's a batter, then that 10-day suspension is very, very crucial. Because again, it's not just for pitchers according to this, it's according to all players, if I'm correct. It's according to all players, MLB players caught with any foreign substance faces a 10-day suspension. So it all depends on who gets suspended. I say with pitchers and batters, they need to have like different suspensions. That's what I would say. If you're really serious about them not using this stuff and you really want the MLB players to stop using it, you need to separate the suspensions, because a suspension to a starting pitcher may be completely different from a suspension from a batter. But I will say this, a starting pitcher's 2-game suspension might be more crucial, might be a lot more, I shouldn't say crucial, it might be a lot more important to the team than a batter's, but it all depends on who that person is again too. If we, for instance, we'll take Garrett Cole because his name's been in there a lot. If Garrett Cole gets caught using it, and Garrett Cole gets suspended for 2 games, that's 2 games that the Yankees don't have him. If it's a batter who decided to pinch hit and he ended up getting caught with it, that's 10 games they don't use him, even though he's a part of the team and he still contributes. He's not as big as a contribution as a Garrett Cole. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on the player. But I say this, for different positions, I say the suspension needs to be modified. So, for instance, what would be the equivalent of a pitcher's suspension to a batter's? Okay, well, baseball players, they probably play, if I had to take a guess, Nate, what, 5 out of 7 days of the week? So let's go with 5 out of 7 days of the week. All right, we do that. That's probably aims for a batter. With a pitcher, out of those 8 games, you're probably playing 2. So you really do the math, 2 times. I say the pitcher's suspension, if you're going to do a 10-day suspension for batters, a pitcher's suspension should be like 16 days. in some case like that, or 20. You know what I'm saying? Double it up because the pitchers aren't as for starting pitchers, because starting pitchers are not used as often. But again, it all depends, and that's why this is a very sticky situation, like you said. Now, going to the whole thing about the rosin bag and the whole pine tar thing. Yeah, pine tar has been a big problem in the MLB for a very, very long time. Obviously, there've been players who've been caught with it. There have been players like Pineda. That was the one I remember. I'll never forget, where he had it on his neck and they expected his neck in the ball and they threw him out and he was suspended. I'll never forget that. And honestly, Nate, like you said, obviously, there's probably people who out there who agree with you. And again, what you said is very controversial, but I'm going to be honest with you. I do understand it. I completely understand it, because if you're going to make something legal, don't make it legal for one side. Okay, that pine tar gives both sides advantages, And I'm going to be honest with you, Nate. This has been probably the most interesting year for pitchers regarding the substance and the no hitters. This has been and even suspensions. This has been the most exciting year for pitchers, because again, it's so unpredictable what's going on with pitchers. But regarding the suspension and everything, I say it all depends on the type of player. If it's a starting pitcher, I say he should get a larger one than the batter. Why? Because he doesn't play as much as the batter. A better comparison is this, Nate, okay? I'm just gonna take like a big name, okay? Let's take Fernando Tatis Jr. Okay, I'm not saying he does this by no means. Okay, I'm not saying this. Okay, but let's just suppose somebody like Fernando Tatis Jr. got suspended. He got caught with pine tar, right? He gets suspended for 10 days. Out of those 10 days, Nate, 8 of those games are being played. So you're going 8 games without Tatis. Now let's suppose somebody like Blake Snell got caught with it. Okay, I'm using the same guy on the same team. Out of those 8 days, Nate, probably 2 of them he was going to play. You see the problem here? So I say with this suspension, I think it all depends on the player, on what type of position you play, to be honest with you. But you know what? Regardless of all that, I do hope that the MLB figures the situation out. Again, pine tar and foreign substances have been obviously a big problem in the MLB for a very, very long time. I just hope they get to figure it out, and I hope they get to the bottom of this. And again, I do wish them the best of luck in that. As for the pitchers, again, best of luck to them. I hope that like this is kind of like a wake up call, because a lot of them have been using it, and despite what your stance is on it, a lot of them haven't really been taking it seriously. If that makes any sense, like the Rosenbach school, and you mentioned something. You mentioned something that was legalized that the pitchers use.
Yeah, the rosin bag is legalized by the MLB. If that wasn't the case,
right? But isn't there something else you just mentioned regarding isn't there something else you just mentioned?
No, I think that was it.
That was it. All right, so the rosin bag obviously is legal. I see that like almost every single game. They put it right next to the mound, and then they yeah, I see that every single game. But again, hopefully this is like a wake up call to the MLB, because they don't take it very seriously. And I was watching Inside the NBA on TNT yesterday, and and Charles Barkley responded to this, and he said, "Way to go!" And he was like, in a sarcastic way, he was like, "Way to go, MLB." He goes, "That'll show him a 10-day suspension." But again, it all depends. Okay, a 10-day suspension, because the pitchers are most likely, I feel like, going to be the ones that are caught with it. They're going to be the ones that get suspended more. So basically, if they get suspended, they're going to be suspended for 2 games.
Right, because it's more stricter on them than it is on any other position.
Right, if they're a starting pitcher. If they're a reliever, it might be a little more. It might be like 4 to 6. So it all depends, again, on the position you play. But, regardless, again, I do wish the MLB the best of luck in fixing this situation. As for the MLB pitchers, I hope this is a wake-up call for them to realize, like, hey, we can't be using foreign substances. But honestly, Nate, I feel like they're going to use it anyway.